Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Today's guest is a rapper and producer all the way from Paris by the name of Kange.
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 Close.
I know I should have. I forgot to ask beforehand. Damn it. All right, Kange. Right. Welcome to the show, Kange. How's it going?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. The first thing I wanted to jump into before we get into your music is obviously you're from Paris, but I don't know. You sound British to me. What's your background, real quick?
From the age like 1 to 8. Okay, hold on. Let me start from the beginning. So I was born in Paris.
Cool.
In the British hospital, and then because my parents met in Paris, and then they moved to England. So I lived there till I was 8. And then I came back to France because they wanted us to learn French because everyone else could speak French in my family, my big brother, my mum, and my dad. And so then at 18, I moved back to England for university, and now I'm back in Paris.
How is because I've got a few friends that have this kind of situation. I've had people on the podcast that have had this as well. How does that kind of have a bearing on not just on your life but also on your music? Like, you know, you can sort of feel almost caught between two places sometimes. Like, how has that had an impact on you in your life?
I think it's had mostly an impact, maybe friends wise, like social wise, because like I can like there's a culture shock, right, when you go in between the two countries, so you have to adapt to each culture and kind of fit in even if you don't want to. So then in the end you're like on the edge and you kind of don't belong anywhere. But I was kind of lucky because I was able to go to some international schools. So I had other people that had that kind of background, and we could like, relate to each other. But when I first got to France, I was like kind of out in this like international learning language section, and we were also integrated into French classes. And we were kind of like outcasted by the French people. They would only talk to us to like learn English words.
Oh man,
silly words too. But it all turned out all right. So yeah,
that's cool. There's different ways I could approach this. Let's start with your music, and then we'll circle back to how it's impacted your music. But yeah, where did your kind of music career start? Like, talk us sort of the beginnings up to now.
Music has always been involved in my life. I started learning on the violin, then I switched to guitar, and then I learned a bit of drums, and then from there my interest in music just kind of grew. But before that, I wanted to be I wanted to be an inventor or an engineer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And then coming to France, I learned I didn't have the knack for math or science, so I moved towards literature.
Okay.
And then that in the end kind of pushed me towards music and like learning more creative styles. But it was only in uni that I picked up production and rapping and stuff like that. So I've been doing that for like 4 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're pursuing an independent music career, which, by the way, I think is the smartest move for any musician. I'm a musician as well myself. I just haven't sort of had the means to pursue that properly yet. I'm working towards it. You know, I'm writing the music, but I just haven't got to that sort of stage yet. But literally every musician I've had on the show, we always have the same conversation, which is like, if you're trying to get into the industry, I think it's better to pursue independence so that you can have, ownership over what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, you see so many major artists right now fighting back. Obviously there was that, I mean, I wouldn't have gone about it this way, but I remember Kange sort of literally tweeted out his whole contract. But his point was still very important, which is that they can't own you, or at least that's what those contracts were, so you hear Chappelle talk about it, you hear Prince talk about it. That's why he famously referred to himself as the artist when he came back, because in those contracts, at least back in the day, they referred to the performer as the artist, but they own you, they own everything you do. And there's this famous allow me to go on a bit of a tangent here, but there's this famous interview with Prince where he's talking about this, and he says that, like, when he came back, he literally recorded and did everything on this particular record himself. You know, he paid for the studio time, he wrote all the songs, he did everything. And the record company was trying to say, well, no, you signed this contract, we own this. And it's one of those situations, isn't it, when that is ridiculous because you wrote the music, you should own it. But if you sign a contract, you give away your rights. Now, obviously, we're much more clued up. The music industry has changed, but that can still potentially happen to artists. So I think, going back to the original point, I think it's really important that there is that push towards being independent and maybe trying to leverage your position in order to get like a distribution deal as opposed to like an ownership deal. And one final point just to add on this is there was a particular artist I saw who he sort of became big on TikTok. You know, there's a lot of artists that are doing that now. And a bunch of record companies approached him and said, well, you know, you're pulling hundreds of thousands of listens right now, but if you want to get to the big leagues, you need to sign with us and then you can get millions. And he said, no, I think I'm good right now, because he obviously saw the writing on the wall. He knew what was going on. And then at least a couple of them said to him, there's no way you're gonna get to those levels without us. You know, that's it for you. It's capped for you. And then lo and behold, the guy got like 170 million listens or something. But point is, you got to stand your ground. So let's bring it back to you. You're pursuing this independent music career. I would wager it's because of those reasons, but you know, you probably have your own reasons for doing so. So one thing I wanted to know just before we sort of delve into that is, have you tried to get signed by a label before? Have you gone down that route? And what would you say are the benefits of pursuing it independently?
So no, I've never tried to get signed before for a label. Just because I started this up in uni, and so I was just concentrating on like developing my craft. And we actually did have record label representatives come by and, you know, give us some of the details and stuff like that. But it just seemed like I kind of learned to love all the process behind making music. So, you know, recording, making the beats, marketing your music, and making like the album art cover and the music video. And I don't know, I just find that more fun coming up with all that stuff and the content creation. And maybe I'm a bit of a control freak, but I don't think I could hand it off to someone else just like that. And, you know, and they take advantage too, because you do make the music and all they do is market it. And then if you could do that yourself, which you can now, then you don't really need them. But I mean, if you're the kind of artist that needs to focus on just your music and you can't do everything, then go for a label, but just know that you're going to have to give up some of your rights. I mean, especially now that they're doing, you know, the 360 deals with the, with like, they take a bit of your merch and like some of your concert profits and stuff like that. And any like sponsorship deals they get you, they take a bit of a percentage of that. So you need to really be careful on what contract you sign, and if you do want to go for a label, make sure you have leverage before you go for a label.
So with that particular deal, because I haven't heard of that before, when you say a percentage, are we talking a big percentage, or is it like a small cut, like 5%, 10%, 15%, something like that?
I think it would be closer to 20%, but don't quote me on that. I never saw the percentages in like real time. I think it depends on the artist and like what you have going. But I know that those 360 deals, they do take a lot out of like your merch sale, maybe your YouTube revenue, your anything that they set up for you. They can take a percentage of that because they deem that they made you as big as you are to have those things. So, you know, and they're not getting enough from music anymore because people aren't buying CDs and it's all on streaming, and streaming doesn't pay much. So they can't afford to just take from the music. They have to take from everything you do.
It's crazy. Like, I've seen so many musicians talk about what these record company executives are like, and still are like to this day. And to me, it makes me think, like, why on earth would you ever sign with them? You know, no, but seriously, like what you said there is so true. And I totally agree. It's like, if you're going to sign with a label, the idea is that you, at least in this day and age, is that you would sign because you want to get exposure, you want to get pushed, promoted, like you said, with the marketing and stuff. But again, as you said, like, you can do all that stuff yourself. I mean, like, when I'm the same as you, I am a bit of a control freak, and I do everything myself now because I have to, and I know that one day eventually I'm going to hand over these things to people. But I would rather employ people, have like a staff, and get them to do that and pay them a wage or something, as opposed to getting a record company or management company, whatever, to get involved and own part of what I do, because that is ridiculous. They haven't done anything. Like, it would make more sense logically from a business perspective to charge them for services. That makes total sense. But them owning anything that you do is ridiculous. And as you say, like, you've really got to check these contracts. I mean, you've got to have a good lawyer, or at least be able to understand the lingo, because they can catch you, and that's what they try to do. Especially back in the day when people, rock stars or whatever, would just sign a contract and be like, yeah, whatever, and then 30 years later they're battling in court trying to get ownership of their music. And it's just like, wow. Like, there was that thing, I think somewhere in the 2010s possibly, where I think the Beatles had just gotten back ownership of their back catalog, something like that. What it was that their music was then put onto Apple Music or iTunes, whatever, and it was like a big deal. And I was wondering, like, well, why is that a big deal? Oh, is it just because they're just on there now and they weren't before? But I think it was something to do with this, that they didn't own it before and now they do. So now they have the rights to their own music, and it's like, oh my God,
remaster it, like, or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, just going back to what I'd said before, that's why these major artists like Kanye are saying that. And it's good that people like that are saying that, because, he has got leverage and he doesn't care anymore. He's got that power. He can just do that. I mean, there's other artists as well. Taylor Swift is a really good example where she's like re-recorded. But that's an interesting concept right there, because they still own her original recordings. So she's sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, like you said, that she's then re-recording, and but then does she take those old ones down? Is she allowed to do that, or does she like release it under a different name, or like what's the deal? I haven't read up enough on it to like give my opinion, but like
yeah, same here. But from what I understand, like, she owns the music, but like, as in, like, she can record as many versions as she wants, and she wrote it. But at the same time, let's put it this way: for her to be able to do this right now, it means that she must have a controlling share in her interests, or in her music. Sorry, because they wouldn't let her do that otherwise. But at the same time, she does not own those original masters, whatever. So she, something like Shake It Off or something like that. Like, she probably owns a percentage of that, but the most of that probably is the record company getting the money. Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, even big bands like Metallica in the metal industry, they formed their own record label it's 2015. It's pretty recent. And they'd only acquired their back catalog in the 2010s. And since then, obviously, I think they've since released an album on that label, and they've got artists on their own label now, etc. So they built it into something bigger. But the initial purpose was to re-release the music under that label and start earning what they should be earning for it. And it's a crazy concept, really. It really is. But
so, like, some newer labels and maybe labels coming into new management are changing the way they do things, because I remember talking, I think my the president of Island Records came to my uni to give a speech, and we also talked to some of the A&R people, and they really talk about musicians now having a social media presence and being able to do their own social media and not have the label manage that. So I think some labels are trying to adapt, but then again, they still, I mean, it's not like they control completely your creative, like your music, and tell you what to post and what not to post. But they still take a percentage of what you do. So it really depends on your preferences.
if I was signing a deal, I mean, I'd rather go for the distribution deal, but I think them owning a cut is not like the worst thing that could happen. I mean, when I look at that other context, like for instance, I'm an aspiring actor as well, and having an agent, if they take a cut, but they're providing you services and representation,
Yeah.
seems fair and reasonable to me. But it's like when they start owning you, or more importantly, they can tell you where to be at any one time or what to have to do. Like, I feel really bad, for instance, in this Britney Spears situation with her conservatorship, I think it's called, where I had to read up on this because I was like, what the hell is this? And from what I understand, it's like around the time she had her breakdown in the mid 2000s, she signed this conservatorship where her father and her family, and to an extent the record company, controlled her assets and her personal interests, of where she has to be, what she has to do. But the danger of that is that it means that she has to do everything that they tell her, even from a personal level. So they control like what she eats, where she goes, how many shows she does in a given day and given year. Like she can't turn stuff down. She has to be at places, and that's a scary thought, that people can own you to the extent that they can tell you where you have to be at any one time. That's terrifying. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, I totally get that. Let's talk a little bit more about your record company. So you said it's been in the works for a couple of years now. Is that right? Like 2-3 years?
No. Sorry, I don't have a record company.
Sorry, not record company. You're producing your own stuff, but have you
Yeah.
produced any other artists under that? That's kind of what I meant. Like,
okay,
so not record company. Yeah. Do you have like an indie label, or do you produce other artists, or you just producing yourself, and it's kind of that kind of thing?
I have produced other artists, mainly friends at uni, and I helped market one of my friends' albums one time for like another uni module. But no, I mainly make music for myself. I've recently sold a beat or two um, to an artist I met here in Paris. But yeah, for the most part, I just make music for myself.
With that selling beats thing, I've seen that quite a lot in the music industry now. Like, do you own that beat and people pay you to use that beat, or how does that work?
So it really depends. So if it's a collaboration, you would take a percentage of the royalties. Um, so this depends on the producer. But most producers that you meet online and that you want to buy a beat from, you just go to their either BeatStars website or whatever they're selling it on, and you buy it. But there's different formats. So if you buy it for $20, you only get like the MP3 version, and you can only use it on a limited amount of stuff. If you pay more, then you get better perks, and then if you pay like full price, then it's exclusive, and that beat will be taken down, and that beat is just for you.
Okay, so, yeah, it's an interesting concept, because I wondered, like, if it was just like a one-time deal, you just sell it and you keep, or presumably, yeah, you just keep selling it to artists and they can then use it. But then obviously, if it blows up, if it does really really well, like, I wonder, do you get a percentage of that then? If it's
exactly. Well, I don't know. Like, I think it really does depend on the producer and the artist that are working together, because they could really like each other, and they'll be like, oh, if this blows up, then you can get like 10 or 20% or something like that.
Oh wow.
But from what I've heard, generally you would just pay for the exclusive, and if it blows up, then that money is yours because you paid for that beat. So I don't know. Some producers might come back asking for royalties.
I would. Do you know what I mean? If I made
right?
the beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the biggest advice my lecturers gave me when I was at uni was that even though it's a feature with a friend, you should write up a contract just in case, so you know what's happening. And generally, when you buy a beat, there is a contract that comes down that you have to sign, and you can read through that and see what you're allowed and what you're not allowed to do. What they probably put a clause of like what happens if it blows up. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
no,
yeah.
you gotta have that stuff in there, 100%. So let's talk about kind of what are your main goals in your music career? What are you trying to achieve? What's the main MO or goal?
Well, top of the charts, really. That's
Fair
the
enough.
biggest
Yeah,
one.
there you go.
Uh, short term is long term stability, but financial stability and all that. But to be honest, like my main dream right now, I think is like really just seeing that I have a fan base that's solid and engaged, and that we can like kind of build a community off of that. So I'm really trying to concentrate on that by building my socials and all that stuff.
Awesome. And what's kind of your approach to songwriting? Obviously, you're a rapper, so what kind of themes are you exploring, and yeah, how do you approach writing a song?
Generally, I would give myself a topic. um I don't know, sometimes beats and sounds can speak to me, so sometimes if I'm feeling a bit of an autumn vibe from the sound, or like I can feel a bit of a nostalgia vibe or like melancholy, and then I'll go off what I'm feeling and get in from that beat, and then choose a topic that's like relevant to that, and then from that topic I'll kind of pick back into my life experiences, stories I've read, movies I've seen, and try and write like a coherent song around those kind of themes. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And who would you say are your or what are your sources of inspiration? Like, who are you drawn to?
Um. So, um, I would say so what okay, when I was growing up, I was like really heavy into indie rock and metal. So from there I like discovered Paramore, 21 Pilots, the Main, the Wombats and all that stuff, and that was really cool, and I really like drew inspiration from their songwriting. And then I think 21 Pilots, when I heard um I forgot the name of the lead singer. When I heard the lead singer rap, I was like, oh, that's so cool, I kind of want to rap now. I wanted to try that out.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then when I got to uni, I discovered Childish Gambino, Drake, and we were listening to more like out of pocket stuff, like PJ Harvey and other bands that I can't remember. But it was like really out of pocket stuff, and all of that kind of just influenced what I did. And then I did, discovered Drake, um, Burna Boy, and from there that kind of pushed me more towards rap, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. So yeah, my music taste is kind of all over the place, but they've all inspired me. And because I started like out learning on guitar, like I was listening to bands like Jimi Hendrix, AC/DC before that, and I think all of that has like translated into my songwriting and the way I also like think about developing my music.
Awesome. I just want to bring it back briefly to, you know, being split between England and France. Like, how has that had an impact, or has it had an impact on your songwriting? I mean, obviously, you're always going to kind of draw inspiration from, but as you already said, you've drawn inspiration from lots of different areas. But I've often found that, because I've lived in other countries myself, and I can always see that the main types of music that seem to be prevalent, they're always different. The scene is always different wherever you go, and I just wondered, like, has that really had an impact on your music?
So I hated the French music when I first got here. It was
Okay.
so they call it chanson française, which is a lot of like, how do I explain, guitars and accordions, and like, I don't know, just like, yeah,
not your
guitars and accordions.
not your jam. Just not your thing.
Yeah, I wasn't really into it. But there was also a lot of foreign music here, so we'd get like number one hits from Spain,
Oh, cool.
Portugal, Africa. So there was a lot of diversity in the music scene. Coming back, the rap scene has developed quite a bit, and I find that quite interesting. They overuse auto tune here, which is another instrument. Like, people think the US overuse it. They haven't heard
Mm.
French music, because the French overuse it. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah,
I don't get that. Like, sometimes you hear like a major artist using auto tune, and you're like, but you can sing.
yeah.
Why are you using that? Why? It's not
I
necessary.
think the human ear is just used to auto-tune now, and so it just sounds a lot more pleasant. Like even I use like auto-tune, and I had to regulate it over the years, because in the beginning it was too much, then it was like too little, and then so now I found like my perfect middle. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's fine, but
crazy.
like I get it. Like you're kind of coming at it from the perspective of like you experiment. It's different when you're an independent artist, isn't it? Because you're trying
Yeah.
to, as you say, you're trying to kind of find your vibe, see what works. Experiment with
Mm.
different things, and I totally agree with that. Use it as a tool. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's useful. It can, you know, I know how bad this will sound, so don't come at me for this. But when you're recording music in the studio, sometimes it's just quicker to use the autotune than to sing
You can't
it.
lie.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
depends. It depends because you still have to perform well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
No.
if you performed it well, but you're just like a little bit out of sync, you can kind of, or
Yeah.
what I say, out of sync, like out of
It's like
tune.
it's like a facelifter, you know.
Yeah, that's a good way of
you
putting
have
it. Yeah.
you have to know how to sing to use autotune, because
Yes.
if you don't know how to sing, then you'll hear it. Like that's just the base. So
So I remember when I was recording my first like EP with this metal band that I was in. Um, I used to sit and talk to the producer for like hours. I was so inspired by this guy, and we'd have really fun chats. And we had the same work ethic, so we got on really well. And I
nice.
remember one time he just was telling me about artists he's worked with, and they come in, they'd be like, "Oh, we want to sound like Killswitch Engage," and he would just turn around and be like, "Well, you need to play like Killswitch Engage." But he kind of said that like he could do a lot in the studio. He could kind of make you sound probably better than you are. Like I remember there was one band that we'd sort of played with on the independent circuit, and I'd heard them live, and I mean, I'm not going to name drop, so they'll never know
The
who
size says it all.
they were just not good live. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I'd seen it so many times when you listen to a record and it sounds great, it sounds promising, then you see them
Yeah.
live and you're like, it's not even the same band. But he said that, like, there's only so much you can do, and you still need to perform to a certain level so that he can fix it to a point where it sounds better than it already is.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, um, I kind of
I mean,
go for it.
sorry, I was just gonna say that still happens today. Like everyone hears of, like, because in the studio you can chop up if you don't get it. Like you can rearrange things. So when you go and hear the artist live, it's completely different. I think now it depends on how the artist performs it live. If they switch up the whole
Mm.
whole thing and make it like a completely different thing, then you can get away with not sounding exactly like you did on the record, because you're making a different live experience.
I agree. I think that is very important. Um, I think that people to some extent do expect. I mean, I think that with certain songs, there are certain things you expect to hear when you hear them play live. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, I was just, this is just random, but I was watching an old live clip of Led Zeppelin from like the 70s or something, right? And I noticed that Robert Plant, was not performing certain notes in that he normally would. And don't get me wrong, I understand you're doing a tour, like it's grueling,
Yeah.
but it kind of sounded a bit lazy. It was a bit like, the song's supposed to be like like that, and he's singing kind of like, oh yeah, and it's like, people pay good money to come see you, man, perform. Like,
Yeah,
you don't have to like belt the whole thing like you did on the record, but like it just
do
sounds like,
some of it, like.
yeah, this just sounds like a bad covers band. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being mean, but um, yeah, I wanted to get into this because I thought this would be an interesting point. So, as a female rapper, do you feel you're sort of being taken more seriously as an artist now that there's like successful female rappers out there like Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, etc.? Like, do you kind of feel like, in terms of like how people in the industry are treating you, how fans are treating you, the media, whatever, like, do you feel you're being taken seriously?
That's a difficult question, actually. Okay, so as part of underground rap, and kind of slowly coming into that community, I feel like female artists or rappers are overlooked.
Okay.
Maybe not more so not respected, just overlooked and because in underground rap there's a certain, I don't want to say they're snobs. They're not snobs, okay? It's just there's a certain kind of quality and that is expected of you, and you have to, be better than the artists that are already up there.
Mm.
And so Cardi B, they're all great female rappers, and I like totally respect them. But they also um, do sell some of their music with their body, and
Okay.
and and they're great artists regardless. I don't really mind, but I do notice a difference with the females then in the underground rap that do the same thing and then they're not taken seriously. And that's probably because at the same time maybe their music isn't as the same standards as Nicki Minaj or Cardi B,
Mm.
but I feel like some might get overlooked because they're selling their music the same way. Um, and then you have the alt underground hip hop female artists. Maybe that's more my lane. That don't use their body to sell their music, and it's just a little more quiet over there, if that makes sense. Um, I haven't seen much attention go to people like that, apart from maybe Doja Cat and Pink Pantheress. And when I
Mm.
say Doja Cat, I mean Doja Cat on her come up.
Yeah, I get what you mean actually. Because I don't know, like for me personally, I can't stand all of that like image focused stuff in pop music. I try to just kind of
Mm.
zone it out and
Yeah,
just
you
focus
come for
on.
the music.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, they're all amazing artists, but you're right. It is their image is a massive part of it. It doesn't need to be at all, but it's
Mm.
just, I suppose, it's just the pop industry, isn't it? And that is what you're saying. There is a very clear distinction. There is a big distinction between those artists, while they are rapping and they are rappers, they are first and foremost pop artists,
Mm.
versus the all underground stuff, the people that are coming up, the people that are not trying to
Yeah.
use their image. And
Like there's people like also like Princess Nokia. You have a UK rapper, Lady Leisha. They're all like, but can you like, as you see, they're not as big as Cardi B or Nicki Minaj just because they didn't sell their music in the same way or
mm,
didn't do their music in the same way. So, but they're all legends in their own right.
well, here's a sort of random question related to it. Do you think we're going to get to the point where image is not necessary anymore? Do you think we're headed in that direction?
Hopefully, I mean, I feel like Lil Nas X is breaking that up a lot. I like just because you know, as a female rapper, like when you see female rappers use females in their videos, you're just kind of like, wouldn't that be the opposite? Because male rappers use like females in their videos, and but they kind of just like two in one. But I like Lil Nas X is like catering to his own like personal tastes. Like it would be weird, I think, as he identifies as a gay rapper, to have a female like dancers in the back of his videos. Like it makes more sense that he would have male dancers
Mm.
from just the way that everything is set up. So I think slowly as the more alternative crowd from TikTok come through, and because I mean Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, they've been around for a little bit now, so I think we're gonna see new artists push through that will bring something a bit fresher to the table, and hopefully get to that big level, the same as like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj.
You mentioned TikTok there. Like, what do you make of TikTok and its kind of impression or impact that it seems to be having on the music industry?
Um, TikTok is a pro and a con. Like, so TikTok is great because the algorithm, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can still get discovered quite easily on TikTok if you play into some of the trends and dances that are going on and stuff like that. Um, I don't think TikTok is made for making original content. Just because I don't know, a lot of
Hmm.
my like some people can get away with making original content if it's like like it's a hook, it's really good, like some people that do the like VFX on there and other things like that, like add a new thing to TikTok. But the rest of it is mostly just copying other people doing other stuff. So it's a double-edged sword. So it's great. You do, as a musician, go on there, do a couple of trends and talk about your music. You'll get followers and people that will um like engage with you. So it's great for discovering new songs, especially if you can get a dance to it and all that stuff. So it's a huge opportunity there. But at the same time, um it's hard to get people to convert then over to your other social medias or even then stream to your Spotify. And I think for the music industry, it's made people more single focused. So like it's like quantity over quality. People want to go out quickly because the attention spans have gotten way shorter. I mean, like YouTube Shorts, like they're all copying TikTok. Like,
Yeah.
really? It's crazy. I'm waiting for Facebook and like Snapchat and whatever LinkedIn to come out with their own shorts,
I think it will happen with Facebook after this latest trend, like with the Meta thing. Like, I totally agree with you. I'm very prominent on TikTok, and I literally use Instagram and YouTube Shorts as like, I don't know what the word would be, cross posting, I guess. I just dump all of the content on those platforms because why wouldn't you? I've even started doing it on Twitter. And it never gets anywhere, but it's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, because you have all this extra content that you can like put up.
Well, and you got different audiences as well. Like, one thing I think that not many people realize is that there's a lot of people that don't migrate. Like for example, I built a following on TikTok, like a small community, and there were way more people when I was live streaming on there. And then I got banned. It's a whole story. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's a funny story.
See, that's that like, but TikTok is also like fickle like that as well.
Yeah,
like you can't trust TikTok.
that's the thing. The thing that I got banned. So I got banned for saying, okay, I'll say the story. I've said it before, but it just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So I got banned on a live stream on TikTok for saying the word Pornhub, right? And I was talking about advertising. So I have an international audience, and I was talking, some people don't know that in the UK we have Christmas advertising and like how it's such a big deal and blah, blah, blah. And an idea popped in my head. I was talking about supermarkets and what they do. And I remembered this advert from like 2016, I think. And it was a Pornhub advert, which blows your mind. I've never seen, a porn company do an advert on daytime television.
I think I might know which event.
You know the one? Yeah, it's a funny little tongue-in-cheek advert. It's like a kid, I say kid, he's like 11, 12, and he gives his granddad a Pornhub premium card. And it's like this like beautiful moment, and it's just hilarious. And it was a good advert. They got like good business from it, and people remember it even to this day, and hence why I spoke about it. And I kid you not, within 30 seconds to a minute of saying that, boom, banned forever. I tried to appeal it. I had 10, 15 people appeal it on my behalf. And then they just said, no, you're banned. That's it. And now, here's the thing. That is hypocrisy at its finest, because if you ever use TikTok, if you don't use it, let me put it this way, there is so many people basically just full on naked on the app, pretty much.
Have you seen those lives of like, there's an old man just like dancing in his underwear, like, it's not even like live, it's a loop video of like,
that's the thing.
So weird.
Yeah. And it's like, because I'll just give you a bit more context about mine as well. Like, they banned me specifically for, what was it? Adult nudity and sexual activity. Bear in mind, stuff like that, as you said, exists on the app. I see it all the time, every now and again, because I'm still able to create content on there, and I do. But every now and again, I'll see like some girl or some guy, being very provocative, showing a lot of themselves or doing thirst traps or whatever, and
it's like
that's allowed.
It's not
apparently.
OnlyFans. It's not OnlyFans.
Yeah, good
they
point.
should go to OnlyFans and do that.
Yeah, we're missing out.
The the TikTok lives are crazy. Recently, there's this trend of like pretending to eat maggots or whatever they're doing.
I've seen that. What is that about? That's disgusting.
That's so
the amount of times
for like 5 minutes and they never eat it. They're just pretending to eat.
I literally saw one the other day where the guy was just like had his face right up to the bowl and was like crying, and I was like, what's going on here? And I saw the comments, and it's I think it was just him pretending, and he's just like his face is right up to the bowl and he's like and I'm like,
but
you've put yourself in this situation.
He has like 2,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Why are people? What are they? Why?
This irritates me, right? Because I look, I'm very grateful for my community that I have. Okay, it's like I think it's about 15 people or something like that, right? But I get these comments every once in a while, people saying, "You're underrated. Why don't you have more viewers?" And I'm like, I don't know. Apparently, they're all just watching people sleeping or staring at maggots. And apparently, that's what people are into. They don't like guys or women or whoever that like to create original content and entertain. Yeah. Apparently, that doesn't matter. That's who cares about that, right? I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. No, but it is weird. I suppose I think it just speaks to that kind of weird mindset in people. We're drawn to the weirdness. We're drawn to the extraordinary, the things that don't kind of fit. Wow, yeah. You see a guy or a girl or whatever, like staring at a bowl of maggots. You stare. You watch them. You're like, well, what is happening here? But
eat it.
I saw something the other day. I don't even know what to make of this. It was a guy like leaning in what I can only describe as like a sort of a cut off alleyway. It was like a small alleyway, and there's like a little tiny water drain to the left of him. I don't know what it was, and it's just water splashing, and he's basically got his foot in the drain, like just at the top of his foot in the drain, and it's getting wet, and he's just leaning like this, just leaning.
Oh, I think I saw that one too.
Yeah, and I was like, what is going on? I don't understand this. And again, 5,000 views, something ridiculous like that. It's just great.
And see, that teaches me that I don't think I could ever cater to the audience on TikTok. Like,
I mean, I know I've had a few videos. I had a video go viral, a few videos go viral on there, and what I quickly learned was that doesn't mean anything. I thought it was going to be the beginning of something. I think I got like 27K right now or something. That don't mean anything. I got really excited for a moment.
That 27K, do you not see that anywhere else? Does it not transfer to?
No. Actually, the original reason I brought up the live streaming thing is that was about different audiences and trying to, you got different audiences, different places. So when I did get that ban and I said, hey, come watch me here, most of those people didn't bother. Because now I'm back on Twitch and I'm building something there and I've got a little small community and it's awesome.
Twitch is so much better.
It is. No, it's actually really good quality as well. And I think it makes more sense to be on there because if you're on Twitch, people are there to watch you. That's the purpose of the app. Whereas TikTok, it's more kind of like people just scroll and they're not really invested,
And the people on Twitch that come to watch you, they're purposely looking for something to do. So if you have and that's probably their actual time slot where they're looking for something to do, and their preference is to go on Twitch. So if you're coming back every night and giving them I would say minimum like 2 hours. I mean, I don't have that time, but I try and do an hour at least every Sunday on Twitch. But like 2 hours minimum on Twitch, and like you can grow exponentially, and you don't even need that many followers to start making a decent income from Twitch. So it depends on the kind of community you're building.
Let's explore that a little bit. So yeah, you're doing a Twitch stream every Sunday. What do you do there? Do you just play your music? Do you chat?
Yeah,
What's the vibe?
I mess around. Yeah, sometimes I chat, sometimes I'm mixing songs. It depends on what I have to do that week. Sometimes I'm like playing guitar covers.
Cool.
Yeah. It depends.
That's cool. That's cool. A variety stream. I dig that. I'm kind of the same. I do music on Fridays. Most days I do AMAs. I'm trialing a new concept at the moment as well. But ultimately, I think my MO has always been, variety, because I just can't pick one thing. I'm just
No, no.
too picky.
I'm
Got too many
planning.
interests.
I'm planning on doing video games once I get a better setup.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I want to do that one day because
Yeah.
I just don't have the means to right now. But that would
Mm.
be who wouldn't want to do that? Yeah, I totally get that. Let's explore a little bit more about where you are on social media. So, do you actually have a TikTok? Do you use that, or is that just not in the
Yeah, no,
strategy?
I do have a TikTok. I have about 20 followers. I do post. I do try and post regular-ish. There's times I'm posting once a week. I do have a few videos. Like I have quite a few videos actually. I'm not gonna lie. But it's not my main focus. Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to say about my TikTok. It's just
No, it's fine. I just brought that up in general, but
yeah.
like what? So, where are you? Are you on Instagram? I presume you're on
Oh
SoundCloud. Like, where
yeah.
can we find you?
I'm on I think Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, um, and yeah, I think that's it. And Facebook too, but no one really uses
No one
Facebook.
cares about Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like I got a
And yeah.
Facebook page and it's tied to my Instagram, which saves me having to post. But it's like I don't I guess some people use it. I don't know. I mean,
um, I, yeah, I don't know. I mainly use it for groups.
ooh, good shout.
Because those are interesting sometimes, but there's a lot to sift through.
Yeah.
Um, um, but yeah, if not, I only reshare like YouTube videos on there. Because I have like that was my first page oh sorry, that was my first page I set up, so that had my friends and family following that. And then it's also useful for doing Facebook ads. So yeah, that's mainly what I use it for. If not, I don't really post content on there. I tried doing this thing where I'd post like clips that I posted like from Instagram, but I just decided to only do it for important stuff, big announcements and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like I use like my Instagram is obviously an outlet for all the TikTok stuff that comes through. So it starts with TikTok and it works its way up, so I've got like a YouTube Shorts channel and all that and blah, blah, blah. But Instagram is invaluable for that stories function, I think,
No, but like Instagram there's a lot of people on there, but it's still so essential for growing. I think Instagram is the only place like that's one of the places you should put your most into, because they're always trying to keep up with the game. They're updating their stuff. Like Instagram is probably the only one that like the only app that updates as often as they do, like adding new features and changing the way they work. Apparently the algorithm has changed again. There's a ton of new stuff from Instagram. And all the other platforms just kind of stagnate once they found something that works for them.
I gotta say I don't really understand Instagram because like YouTube Shorts, and I've said this before on the show, but YouTube Shorts is very straightforward. You get like waves of attention. So my YouTube Shorts account, it used to just be my second account. I quickly realized, someone tipped me off. I think it might be my friend. Shout out to Stelzy. So he told me, you gotta do this. It's magic. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, just trust me. So I uploaded a bunch of videos of the shorts that I was doing on TikTok, put them on YouTube Shorts. And then about 6 hours later, boom, thousands of views. And I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And then, see, that was happening for a while, but that's when it was in beta. And then everyone sort of caught on. And then just nothing for like 6 to 8 months, or I don't know,
Yeah.
however long. And then recently, in like the past 2 months, suddenly picked up again. Suddenly I'm getting loads of followers, getting lots of views again. I don't know what that's about. I guess just
I
the
should try it
algorithms
again
change.
then, because I
Yeah.
think I got on it after like the first wave, and people were saying, yeah, YouTube Shorts, and then I saw people also saying that the followers you get from YouTube Shorts don't stay, they don't stick, and then my YouTube Shorts I was uploading went from like getting, I think, almost like 900 views to like 25, and I was like, whoa, okay. And then yeah, I also just didn't like how they put it. I didn't like having like a normal landscape video and then having a shorts video, but they've changed that now, so that's fine.
I think consistency is key. I mean, I'm just theorizing here, but what I do, this is my strategy. I post on TikTok first, and then I post everywhere. And it sounds kind of like effort, but all in all, it probably takes like a minute, 2 minutes to just post there, post on Instagram. So what I'll do, this sounds really long-winded, I've never explained this. So what I do is I post on TikTok, then I post a standard video on Instagram, and then a Reels video. So I post twice, right? Then post on Twitter, and then post on YouTube. So it's been posted everywhere. But here's the deal, on Instagram, always the same thing. It'd be like 0, 50 on the Reels. It'd be like 0, 50, 3,000, 0, 50, 5,000, you know, just really, and that's what I mean. I don't understand the Instagram algorithm, but YouTube Shorts seems to be very consistent. It seems to just every video seems to pick up something.
Yeah, they might have changed their algorithm a bit for YouTube Shorts. And for Reels, in Reels in the beginning, but I think this is what happens with all like new Instagram features. It's just like IGTV, getting a ton of views in the beginning, like it's just like more or less working. And then because everyone jumps on it, then it's hard. But there's different types of content, so it's harder then to get those views. But then I think no, because I was gonna say that they've changed it, but I posted a reel the other day and I only got 100 views, and that's been happening ever since July. So, So I haven't. So I get more views. No, I think I don't know, because in general my reach on Instagram has gone down. In the beginning of the year, I was getting like my reach was going really far. Like I even had a few posts go on the explore page.
Cool.
Wow. That was like super cool. And even now, those posts that I posted back then are still getting a few likes. But then the rest of the year just went on, and then it was just getting less and less. Even the post going out to my followers is not doing it. So coincidentally, I took a break. So I'm hoping now, because when I stop posting on stories and then I post on stories again, I get like 50 views, and then I get more views than I normally get. So I'm thinking now, because I was posting every day, except on weekends. So I was thinking, okay, let me stop for a little bit, which has been a month. So now when I go to post back, they'll have this notification, and that should bring people's attention back a little bit to my profile, hopefully.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's tricky, because I think you always have to look at what the strategy is. And so for me personally, because I'm doing so many things and I've got different goals, my kind of view is to just post continually every day something.
I see. Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend that for everyone. Like, for instance, you as an artist, as a musician, that's your main thing. I actually think less is more. I think it's better to post like once every couple of days, so that, as you say, you get, you know, because it's very easy to bombard your audience, but then there's different goals. Like for the people that follow me, it's going to be a bit bombarding. Sorry, but hey, I'm providing content, right?
Yeah.
If you like it, follow me. If you don't, unfollow me. That's fine. Yeah. But for people where, you know, the goal is, because my goal is to grow, my goal is to keep reaching new people, so that the only way that's going to happen is by continually posting, putting stuff out there. You know, it's like throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. That's basically it. It's always consistent. It's always
social media is though, because when you ask people who went viral, how did you go viral? They're just like, oh, I don't know, I did this, and they always try and some people who weren't made for content creation always try and repeat that video that made them viral.
Yeah, that's a bad move.
Attain that same thing, so it's just like the same format of that first video. And
no, you got to move on. You got to move on. Like my only viral video to this date, the one, because I researched this, to go viral you have to get at least 1 million views. So I've had videos go like 700k, 800k. Viral is 1 million apparently.
That's viral for me.
And
that's
yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Yeah, no, I agree. If it gets more than, I'm happy if it gets to 1,000. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow.
Yeah, like, I'm like, yo, I made it.
Yeah. But it's like, my viral video is a stitch. So for those who don't know, it's like you take another creator's video and then you react to their video, but like you don't react to it in real time. You just take a portion of their video and then you insert new content alongside it. So it becomes like a new thing. And mine is, it was just something silly, just like whatever. But my initial response was, no, keep creating, like move on, move forward. Like that was then, this is now, and it's great to reflect and be like, yeah, oh, I did this. But your head always has to be where we are now. It can't be, oh, this is what I did a year ago. This is what I did 6 months ago. Like, who cares? People only care about what's going on right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the reality. But yeah, I mean, it's different goals, it's different strategy. I think that, yeah, going back to what I was saying before, like for yourself, I think it makes more sense to create anticipation for your posts. So posting less is good, because then when a post does come up, it's like, oh, Kange posted and I should check this out. She hasn't posted in a week or 3 days. Like this is probably something important. Whereas if it's every day, it's not. You know what I mean?
It's like I noticed that posting. Like I've kind of decided to post every day as a challenge to myself, because a year ago I wasn't consistent on social media at all. Like I was posting every 2 to 3 months, or like whatever. So I was like, okay, let's be consistent for a year. And I did take a few breaks in between, but for the most part, I've been consistent 5 days a week. In the beginning, I was super organized. Like all my posts for that week was up and scheduled, and then all I had to do was concentrate on like my YouTube video and then making music. But then I got an internship at a studio. And so from there, it's just like I've been making posts day to day, and it got too much. So I was like, I need to stop and then restart so I can get back on that like ahead of schedule kind of thing. But I mean, I'm thinking of reducing my number of posts to 3 days a week, because then I feel like it's consistent enough, and then a day in between to just kind of do what I want to do. So yeah.
Fair enough. Fair play. Let's switch things up. What's the biggest life lesson that you've learned so far?
I feel like I've been asked this question before, and I gave a different answer. But this time I'm really thinking, if you're upset about something in a year, you won't remember it. Or in a year it will hurt less. Just so don't spend that much time like going over your mistakes or the hurt that if people have done to you. Just kind of like learn to like let that go and wash off your back, because in 5 to 10 years that will just be like, oh, what happened again? What was I even mad about? Like yeah, that's I think that one has been it for this year. And also learning to set boundaries and stand up for myself, especially in a work environment.
Couldn't agree more with that.
Because like school teaches you to just like, that's your authority figure, they ask you to do this and you do that. If you disobey the teacher, you get punished. So going into a work environment, you kind of take on that same embodiment. And I also notice this is very much a British thing to just be like, that's my boss, whatever he says, like, I'm getting paid, I'm gonna work hard for, like, In France, they're a bit more like, oh, don't tell me to do stuff that's not in
Yeah,
my job
French
description.
lose their shit, man. They're like, no,
Yeah,
no, we're not only gonna protest, we're gonna riot.
yeah,
Like until you
exactly.
pay us the fucking money. Like respect, I guess. But yeah, no,
Yeah, they unionize a lot here.
I've got a real horse in this race. I totally agree with you on this one. I always, because funnily enough, when I was doing my live stream last night, I got some advice. Sorry, I was giving some advice to people about workplace situations, and my
Mm.
kind of view. For instance, I recommend everyone go check out Joshua Fluke on YouTube because he does a lot of videos about this sort of stuff, like fighting the good fight against employers. You're just a number. You're just, they can replace you like that. It doesn't matter if you've been with a company 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Doesn't matter. And that's how they see you. Like people have to understand that like human resources is not there for you. The clue is
For the
in
company.
the clue's in the name. Human
Mm.
resources. You are a
Yeah.
resource. That's how they see you. And like you said, yeah, they're there to protect the company. They're there to, So for instance, when you get told, go to HR. If you've got a problem, go to HR. Do not go to HR. That's the worst thing you can do because
Yeah.
they will log that stuff that you've said, be it mental health issues, grievances against your employer or the job, whatever, anything. They'll use that against you. And then when you're in a situation where, I don't know, whatever, like they've got something against you, they'll use all that information against you and fire you on that basis. And of course, they won't make that the reason because obviously, they can't fire you. Let's say it's mental health issues. They can't fire you for
Yeah.
mental health, but they'll
But
say
they'll
something
find
else.
something.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, well, you just aren't a culture fit," or you have to understand that that's not the way we do things around here. It's like, stop bullshitting me.
Yeah, just tell me straight, like, no, yeah. The workplace thing is like, it's I don't know, just coming out of school, it's difficult to adjust to, but um, I'm finding my ground. I know, like, because also at the same, so what I'm doing is that I'm technically doing voluntary work, so I'm not even getting paid for the studio, but um, but it's far from my house, so I just find myself with less and less time. So I'm juggling three things, which is trying to do my music, market that, all that, find a job, and the studio. So one of them has to go, and that's not necessarily anything on their fault. It's just that I know what my priorities are, and I know where I want to go, and now I have to stand up for myself. I did it before at my old internship, and I'm gonna have to do it again.
Look,
It's
I'm willing to bet right now with this volunteer work that you're doing, because I do volunteer work, but it's a bit different. I do it for charity. You're doing it because you're trying to break into that industry, get experience. That's the crux of what the benefit is for you. It's that getting into that industry, learning. But the problem with that is that, and I've said this, I've had people offer me their services for free, to help me with my social media stuff, and I always refuse because my mindset is I don't care if you do a volunteership or whatever, and pay your staff, pay people for their time. Time is valuable. Time, you don't get back time. And here's the reality: they can't have a go at you or expect you to work really, really hard when they're not paying you anything.
Yeah, but these,
That's
like companies, I noticed this coming out of school with my friends. These companies take advantage of young people because they have no experience. They need work experience. And they're not gonna, and most companies aren't hiring without you getting work experience. So like, so you have a lot
yeah.
of companies, startup. I'm saying this because the people that I've met and been with is startups, offering internships and then offering to like continue working with you but without paying you. But you're young, so you're just like, I want experience. This is gonna be, you try and you try and convince yourself it's gonna be a good experience, it's gonna be great, and then you feel like you can leave any time. But the deeper you get into it, the deeper you just kind of feel like you owe them something, when in reality they're the ones that owe you. I don't know. That's kind of how it was for me.
Interesting.
So
What do
it's
you
like,
feel that you owe them?
I don't know. I just feel like some things were said like about hopes and dreams and earning money. Like eventually I can give you this and stuff like that. And it just felt like, especially when like sometimes you go into these internships and some of them, their structures are small, and you realize that sometimes the people they work with, they can't necessarily depend on all the time. So I don't know. I just feel like, I feel when I go and do something, I always want to give my best, whether I'm getting paid or not. So it just feels weird to know that I've given so much of like some of my knowledge to them, and that maybe in that respect I might be the only one that can do what I have done for them, and just to pull away and leave them in the way they are is a thing I'm struggling with. But I have to put my foot down, just because times are getting busier, and I can't just keep giving my time away for free, basically.
I completely agree, and I think that it all boils down to understanding your worth
Mm.
as both a human being and also with respect to like the work that you've put in. If they truly valued you, they would pay you, or
Yeah.
they would make you a reasonable offer that recognizes all of the work that you've put in, and also the contribution you've made, the impact you've made. Like you said that it's a short internship, so is it coming to an end, is that right?
No, so I've done 2 or 3 internships in this past year,
Oh, I see.
and
Okay.
and so because I'm not at school, I can't do like a long-term internship. I can only do a 2-month internship.
Right.
And so I feel like, if I put on my CV, I worked 2 months at a record label, they're gonna be like, okay, 2 months. So
I,
I
I
just
don't
felt
know. I
like,
don't know. I mean, if you've done it several times, though,
mm,
that says something about you.
well,
And
yeah, but in the beginning, I only did it. I had no experience. Basically, I was just fresh out of school. So, the first time, I think I worked 2 months, and then I was like, okay, let's give this a go. So I went to work longer, thinking I could gain more, um, just knowledge and experience. But then it didn't work out that way, and I got another one that was like 2 months. I think I stayed a little longer, but then I was like, this is not working for me. And then the last one now is one that I'm still trying to break ties with, is what I would say.
but hold up, let's back up a second. So
Mm,
that second one, you stayed a
yeah,
bit longer. So you'd
yeah,
finished your 2 months,
yeah.
and what they just said, if you want to stay longer, stay longer, and they didn't offer you anything.
That's basically what all of them have done. Has been like, if you want to work longer with us, you can. You can have access to this and this and this, but unfortunately we don't have the means to pay you right now. And it's
Shit.
like, that's
Bullshit.
cool.
Okay. Let's
But
let's break down what they're offering. So you can have access to this and this. So what? You can record your stuff there for free.
yeah, I can record my stuff there for free. I could release my music with them. I could um
Oh,
get access to their contacts and stuff like that. Yeah.
okay. Do you know what? Maybe that is worth. No, maybe that's worth something. To be fair.
Mm. Yeah,
Um.
that it's worth staying a little longer and exploring those options, um
Yes.
and seeing. But
But it,
then
it depends. It depends, though, doesn't it? Because is that like a full-time role?
well, yeah.
So like forty
Some
hours a
no, but
week, that kind of thing.
let's say this, like, in they know the position that they've put me in, so they're not my boss. So if I say I'm not coming in, then I'm just not coming in. I mean, they can say whatever, but I'm just not coming in. But then there's days there's days when they do like, oh, I need you here, then I have to go in. And it's like,
Mm,
well, okay, fair enough. So it's a bit up and down schedule wise, which actually has made it hard for me planning wise. So um so it's like after 4 or 5 months, it's just no longer sustainable. So I'm just kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm sorry, but this is not working out for me. Um, which is just fine. Like I did it to gain more contact because I'm new to the French scene too. So I did it to gain more contacts, know more people. But I find I am meeting more people online.
That's good.
More than I am through these internships, if that makes sense. Um, like I know some people, but because you end the internship, then it's like they hesitate to reach out to you again. Um, so I had definitely met and like consolidated more um, connections outside, just like online with people. Like I use this app called Vampire, I think, that helps you find like musicians and stuff like that in your area, and that has been actually very helpful over the last couple of months. So yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it my time for anything. It's been great, and like learning how to maybe like juggle my music career and maybe having a job that's demanding. Because in the beginning, I did want to go into, I wanted to go into marketing music for a label. Um, but then having done like a couple internships at a label, I've been like, no, that's not. It takes up too much of my time that I can't market my music. And I had people say this to me before, but I just wanted to try it out for myself. Maybe I could learn a few marketing techniques that I haven't already learned. Um, but no, that's not. I haven't learned anything new in terms of marketing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
um, but yeah.
Well, I would say I think. I mean, you clearly kind of know where you're going with this and stuff. So I'm not going to try and like give you advice or whatever. But I would say, as a final point for both you and anyone doing an unpaid internship,
be careful.
be careful, but like realize why you're getting into it in the first place. If it's just for experience, because it's one thing if you're doing 1 month, 2 months, but your time is really valuable. Like, okay, just taking the example you gave, right? If you were doing the 2 month internship and you continued it and they said you get full access to everything and you can record whatever you want to do, blah blah blah, and you're doing like 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week, that's okay. But if you're doing 40 hours a week, that is a job, and they need to give you something, even if it's just like, I don't know, travel expenses, free lunch, something. Like, come on, man. Like, when they say, oh, we don't have the budget for this, like, you can afford something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit insulting, to be honest.
Because you see them paying for stuff, and especially my first internship, you see them paying for stuff. You see them going out to lunch with their business partners and stuff like that, and you're just kind of like, so then, like, can you really not afford to pay me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You see people coming in and out of the studio, and you're just kind of like, are you sure?
Sure
I'm just double checking. Like,
sure about yeah, I agree.
And I wasn't the only intern at that place. There was like 2 or 3 other interns with us.
Hold up.
Yeah.
So there's 3 interns not getting paid.
Yeah, but they had to do it for school. They had to do it for school.
That doesn't make it any better. That takes a piss. That's exploitation.
They did like a month or 2 months. But yeah, technically I think so too. If you have everyone else in your department, but the marketing and like for I think marketing and videography department, photography department is all filled with interns. It's like then so you're cutting budget, like it's weird. It's like it's sus. It's just sus. So even if you do plan to hire a couple of those interns afterwards, it's just a little sus. So yeah, I mean, if you're doing an unpaid internship and you're young and you're just out of school, you don't have much experience, you need to be careful, because I mean, this is not just from my experience. This is what I've had a few friends tell me as well, that employers do like to take advantage of young people that have no particular idea of where they want to go, and they're just trying to gain experience like that as they go along. Yeah. And also, most people who are going for internships are graduated. You have a degree, so you should be getting paid what your degree is worth. Because you just, I mean, if you have a degree, you should be getting paid. If you have a degree, you should be getting paid. That's
Yes, I agree. But I do think that like any company that says we don't have the money to pay you is lying. Like unless it's a really small, like I don't know, you work for like a fucking bakery and like that's the only shop they have and they're very close to like they're barely making ends meet. Okay, fine,
right.
maybe, but like startups have loads of money. Like come on, they have like investment angels, government grants, like
Yeah, that's true. Some of them.
and especially and then the corporate companies that say that, I mean that's
Mm.
especially insulting. Like
Yeah,
work for like
definitely.
I don't know, I can't think of a company at this time, but like big major company and they're like, oh sorry, no, we don't have the resources. It's like
Warner Music.
yeah, it's like you made like how much money last year? Don't
Yeah,
insult my intelligence. But then
yeah.
that's the thing, they'll throw back, they'll be like, but you get valuable experience. Like I see this a lot in
Well,
the
yeah, they
in the
do that
acting
a
and
lot.
in the acting industry. I see this, right? And bear in mind this is for like to be an extra, so to be in the background. Okay, they say,
Okay.
oh, we don't pay you, but you get exposure and you get to um experience what it's like to be on a movie set. Well,
How?
spoilers, guys. Being on a movie set is fucking boring if you're an extra, right? It's tough as an actor, but as an
Yeah,
extra, it's boring.
it's just yeah.
Your days consist of standing around for like 15, 16 hours a day until whenever they call you, and you're not allowed like your phone, you're not allowed any of this stuff.
Really?
Well, yeah, depends on the movie set, but yeah,
Okay.
generally, like
Okay.
I was an extra on Tenet, the Christopher Nolan movie, and
Okay.
it was,
Yeah.
but the difference there was I was getting paid.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? We weren't getting paid well, but we were getting paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they couldn't not pay us for those days because it was just,
Mm.
I mean, I kid you not, like we were supposed to be there maybe 13, 14 hours. It ended up being like 16 hours. They'd always apologize. They give us food, all that stuff. They take care of us. But I'd seen other places where it'd be like free exposure, be on a movie set. And I'm like, just pay your people. Stop being such, I
Yeah.
don't know, Scrooges. I don't know what to say. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think it's all about saving money and cutting corners where you can, isn't it? So.
yeah, but like reputation in business is everything. It's
Yeah, that's
like
true.
go on Glassdoor, the website Glassdoor, and look
Yeah.
at like some of the reviews on companies, and like you can't hide that shit.
Mm.
There's a company that I used to work for, and I'll never name them, but um, they know who they are, and I got a lot from them. I had mostly a positive experience there, but it ended on a bad note. And I
Mm.
remember when I first started working there, I looked up their reviews on Glassdoor, and they were bad then. And some of those reviews were new, some of them were years and years old. And then when
Yeah.
I left, there were new ones. I left one myself, and then there was there's been plenty of bad reviews since then. And
Mm.
apparently, I saw a message on their Glassdoor profile that says it was
Yeah.
like a warning message that says this company has taken lawsuit actions against people that have reviewed, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and they try to what they try to do is post loads of positive, clearly fake reviews to try and balance it
Yeah.
out, and it's like
A lot of people do that.
you can't hide it. You can't hide if you're a bad company and you're exploiting people.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
just can't.
No.
But anyway, um, as we draw things to a close today, do you have any upcoming projects or maybe some final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I have a new single coming out on the 26th of November. So yeah, that one's gonna be cool. I'm looking forward to it. I was supposed to release it last year, but I had to re-record it. Because I didn't record it right the first time. Um, but yeah, and then hopefully in the new year I'll be releasing an EP. So yeah, that's what I got going on.
Exciting
um,
times.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, best of luck with that. And yeah, thank
thank
you
you.
so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been really fun. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. Me too. And for everyone listening to the Christian Reeve podcast, as always, be safe, be well, and I'll see you in the next one.